Namaste. This is Yoga Therapy Podcast, and I'm your host, Shira Cohen, yoga teacher, yoga therapist, and Ayurvedic wellness educator. In these conversations with experts in the field of yoga therapy, you'll find out what it is and how it can help you and your loved ones to reclaim well-being. We'll touch on physical as well as mental health, physiology, emotions, women's health, spiritual well-being, goddesses, and self-development in the fullest sense. Listening to another story can change ours, so thank you for showing up, and let's begin this journey together. Hello everyone! So I'm finally back. I've been offline for a bit and very happy to be doing that. So today we have Jeanette Seally back again. She was here last year, July, episode 19, talking about liminal spaces. And today we're talking about women's health. So thank you, Jeanette, for being here.
Thank you so much, Shira. It's such a joy and honor to be back here with you.
Yeah, we've just been catching up, and Jeanette's been telling me all the courses that she's been following, and I'm very jealous because I haven't had the time to do any of those things. But they sound very juicy, and now she's inspired me to go out there and start something again. So, Jeanette, tell us how we're going to work or look at women's health from this Ayurvedic yogic perspective, and what it's called and where you've learnt it and all the juicy details.
Yes, I'm so excited to share. And I mean, you're writing a book, so I'm so stoked and thrilled for you and that and inspired. Um, of course, there's time for courses when you finish a book, but not when it's like having a baby. And that is
It's a huge gestation period, and I'm in labor since a year. Yeah.
Yes. So there's that window in a woman's life, and there are multiple times that a woman goes through this Kayalpa window. And Kaya means body, and Kalpa means great transformation. It also translates to rock, so that comes into play with it. But this Kayalpa window, it happens, it's like a liminal space for a woman. It's, the time after birth, the time of perimenopause and menopause. And it's said that during these windows that there's a period of not only great transformation, bodily transformation, but a time when we can initiate great healing, or we can really seed the roots of disease, because it's a time when we're quite fragile. And I don't think Ayurveda really looks at the body as fragile, but at this period of time, there's special care is needed to initiate healing for even long-standing conditions. There's another time in a woman's life, and the texts call it when she's married. And so I wonder if that's if it's actually meant to be menarche. So I'm curious if it's menarche or preconception, but in the text it says when a woman is married. That's another time.
Yes.
Yes.
A very traditional way of addressing the woman's name. And then you can be guessing, and also, yes, applying to our context, it could be many things. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. So it's the great transformation, and like you said, there's a lot of changes happening, and you're saying it's a very big period. I thought it was a very short period, just post natal or this area, but you're saying it's actually years or maybe decades.
I think it could be years. And the woman postpartum specifically, it's the first 40 days. You've probably heard the phrase 40 days for 40 years, that the first 40 days initially after postpartum can impact the next 40 years of your life.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and that was really my focus in my studies, was the postpartum period. So I don't know too much about those other windows as of right now, but the postpartum window is a really significant opportunity. It's probably the time of greatest transformation. You're literally you've been through a portal, and you're shifting into a whole new becoming of who you are. And your body is experiencing just so much change, that it's a really sweet and sacred time.
Yeah. And like you're saying, there's this change happening, and it's not just physical, it's also hormonal. psychological, emotional, spiritual. And what I found very beautiful, I read it in, I believe, Vasant Lad's books, that when you birth a mother, when she's birthing the child, this crown is, the crown chakra is moving through the earth chakra of the woman, so there's this gift coming of the earth of the mother donning life to this crown of the child. And I thought it was so beautiful. Oh wow, that connection, here we go again, pulling the thread through. It was so beautiful to read that. I don't know how it lands for you, but for me it was a very powerful insight to, oh yes, this is when we gift everything that we've learned and condensed and distilled to our child into their consciousness, and then they can do whatever they want with it.
Oh, it's such a beautiful viewpoint. I haven't heard that, and I love
No,
it so
no,
much.
and
Oh
I
my
haven't
goodness.
heard of that 40 days. And so can we just expound on postpartum, what it is? Because I mean, I've read the word a million times, but I've never actually looked it up in a dictionary. I've never read an article about it. Can we just go into it a little more, also for other people to know
Sure.
the importance of it and the effects
Yeah.
of it? Yeah.
Yes. Well, like, as you said, there's this huge transformation, body, mind, and spirit. I mean, you've grown another organ,
Mm.
right? You grow a placenta, and you and the baby share the placenta, and you birth the baby, and you birth the organ as well. And
Mhm.
so all of a sudden now there's this huge space in the body, just a physical space that's there for quite some time after delivery, after the baby is born. And the mother is in a very delicate period of time right now. She is, transitioning emotionally into being a mother, into being like the ultimate caregiver. She is going through all of the bodily transformation of her breast milk is coming in, so she's tender. She's just gone through, if she's had a vaginal delivery or a C-section, she's gone through an intensive, like sometimes even traumatic experience of birthing this baby. And then she's moving into spaces where her hormones are completely shifting and changing. And she's experiencing all kinds of emotions as a result of that. It's quite a roller coaster. So, having support and having community around her that really knows the depth of her experience and can witness her in it
Mm.
and be present for her in ways that are really nurturing and tender, loving, that she's able to experience the birth of herself as a mother with more grace and ease. And I
Mm.
believe that this like Ayurvedic postpartum care work is something that I want to see all communities embracing and understanding these ancient ways of, whether they're indigenous, whether they're Ayurvedic, whether they're rooted in Chinese medicine. Every culture has a way of caring for the new mother. And in the West, sadly, we just kind of like expect her to pop back up and like come back to normal and take care of everything and go back to work after 6 weeks. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's a
It's
lot.
actually not even crazy. It's sad. I find
Right.
it so sad because I did a little study for my book about it, and I realized in Japan, even this culture, which has a big work ethic, they let the woman stay in bed with a child for 2 months and make sure that everyone comes around to take care of her so that she can rest and connect to this child fully, and even in the dark. So it's like a womb kind of space. And that in India, for example, they wrap the woman up with special cloth around the womb area and the lower abdomen, and give her special oils and nuts and seeds and juicy fruits to make her nourished again and full again, to fill that empty void that she has down there. Yeah, it's crazy to think that we've just bypassed that.
It really is.
So
And
wrong.
yes, I mean, here we have like, you can't take a puppy away from its mother until it's 8 weeks old.
But a mother should drop her child, yeah, who's totally dependent, in a
Right.
daycare where the woman has like 30 children in there. It's crazy. And then the parents expect that child to be well looked after when actually I know that daycare people are told not to pick up a child too much because they get attached. Yeah.
Yes, it's unreal. And we wonder, like why there's so much incidence of postpartum anxiety and depression and dysphoria. And we know, I mean, statistics show that suicide is the leading cause of death among new mothers.
Oh,
So there's
really?
something that really needs to be done. Yes.
Mm. Mm. And I would like to also just look at all the consequences there are of this early period when bonding and attachment is so important. And what do you think it creates? What kind of societies and children do we bring into our world when they haven't been allowed at least those first few months? I think even first 6 months is a minimum in my view, you know to be protected and safe and in the arms of someone who actually loves them and knows them and cares about them fully from a heart of affection rather than just it's a job.
Absolutely. And as a mother too, like to be able to live in the fullness of the experience of bonding, to be
Yeah.
able to, I mean, how beautiful what you shared about Japan, that 2 months the mother remains in bed with the baby. Like that's incredible. Can you imagine the gift of that?
Yeah.
And so I am so passionate about like bringing this mindful kind of care and education to others. When I first learned, my teacher is Sarva Blackwell, and she studied with Isha Oaks. And Isha Oaks was an incredible teacher of Ayurvedic postpartum care who traveled all around India for decades, learning the traditional ways, and then came back and shared them in the West. And she's gone now, she's passed away, but a few of her students are kind of have picked up the torch and are carrying on with it. And
Yeah.
when I found about the program, I was like, I've birthed 3 children and I know the difficulty, and I was just so drawn to it. And as I've dove into it and now I've cared for 3 mothers as part of my
Mm,
practicum, I
mm,
see the change, I see the benefit, I see the
mm,
beauty of like the
mm,
mama doesn't leave the bed in Ayurveda for 2 weeks.
wow.
And everyone just brings her food, takes care of the house cleaning, like she is, you do the belly
Goddess.
bathing.
She is
Yeah,
goddess.
she
Yeah.
is goddess. And you massage her with, special medicated oils and bring her special soothing herbal teas. And it's really this focus on
Nourishment.
Rasayana, right? Yes, nourishment, Rasayana therapy,
Mm,
like all of the things that you do, the foods that you eat are all about, bringing down the energy of Vata, that air and
mm,
space, because it's so prevalent in the body right now,
mm,
and just nourishing, grounding, rejuvenating,
mm,
and establishing this strong sense of fulfillment and care. So again, that like mama and baby bond and new family bond
mm.
can be focused on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really essential. I mean, this is the basics of life. How can we skip that? There's sometimes I see posts about mothers having this difficulty of having to go back to work. And then I get on my high horse and say, I even went and lived in Berlin, in Germany, so that I could stay 3 years with my child and give her the time that I wanted to give her. Because once she's older and grown up, it's gone, and it goes so quickly. And I don't care if that means I'm on benefits, but at least I wasn't harassed to go to work. And I didn't care about the guilt that others might project onto me. I was like, this time is never coming back. So I would prefer to do that and support her and me in having that full connection and enjoying life and getting to know each other fully when she's still young. And she's such a confident human being, she takes everything in her stride. Okay, of course it's not all easy, but I see the difference. I see the difference in that connection, that being there. And I have this wonderful best friend in Berlin. She's also a very big Ayurvedic freak. And she's just given birth 2 months ago. And we were all loved up in her apartment with her baby, and she's just enjoying it, really, like all the curtains are closed. She's just walking around naked with her baby all day long, or lying down in bed, and then one position, then another bed, then another sofa, really making the most of it. And then I was like, wow, how many women dare to do this? It's really radical to assume that space and take up that time and say, this is for me and my child. It's the most important job, is
Yes.
bringing people into this world. Imagine if every child was fully loved those first few months or years. Yeah, what kind of people do we have, and then what kind of world do we create? It's so
Oh
powerful.
my gosh. I love that you said that it's radical because it truly feels that way. You know,
Yeah,
when you see a mother committing to that period of time and taking up the space that she is so deserving of like, I am going to rest.
yeah.
I'm gonna not get out of my pajamas. I'm gonna take a
I'm gonna put
shower
those pajamas.
and put on new pajamas, or I'm gonna wear none at all, and I'm just gonna be free. And how beautiful and how much that will change the world if we can just one mother at a time, just initiate that level of care during this sacred window. We're transforming generations.
Yeah, yeah, and our future. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, totally.
Yes. So it's so beautiful. Some of the work I'm curious and engaged in discovering is how to provide this to, underserved communities, how with people who can't afford this, can't afford to bring in a doula. How do we, again, like educate communities so we have meal trains so they know what to bring? Like it's not salads and smoothies. It's stews and oatmeals and root vegetables, and like it's heavy and dense. And how do we
Oh, what a
how do
good
we
idea.
yeah, that seems easy, meal trains, but like more complicated, like how do we share the importance of giving mom a massage and provide her with the tools to do it? And how do we
Yeah,
share the importance of her not going back to work right away? And how do we
yeah.
support families so that can take place? And there's a
And,
there's a
and what
lot.
do you have you already got ideas? I mean, you could write petitions and get the government or the community, the municipality behind this, get grants for programs or something like this, no?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's,
Really?
it's all in my heart to do. And there's a beautiful group of, people like you and I who are already steeped in this tradition and caring about the work and caring about mothers, especially because it is, again, it's this very delicate phase of life for baby and mama. And if we take care of them well, we literally change generations and
Mm,
create healing across spectrums in communities and
mm.
beyond. So I think it's probably one of the most powerful things we can do. And yeah, I work with the Pancha Mama Alliance, which is an incredible organization out of the Amazon. It's a
Oh, yes.
Western and Amazonian kind of coalition to create change around social justice and climate crisis. So my thought is to start sharing some of the work in those groups that I
Mm,
get to connect with. And
yeah.
yes, governmental level, that's not my bag, but maybe I can inspire someone to help me who does that kind of thing. And
Yeah, yeah. Find someone else who's really into that and that is up for advocating for this kind of work, because that's what we're seeing here in Europe. In one way, there's huge gaps being created between rich and poor. And at the same time, there's lots of possibilities to get grants from the EU and other universities who do want to create social impact. So I'm also partnering up with a woman. So we're trying to get a grant because we want to bring this kind of work to people with less income, less possibilities and opportunities who need just as much this kind of work, and I don't want it to just be for people who have money and time, which is really unfair.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, because everyone needs it. And I love this idea of like, just we're talking about the spectrum as it exists cross culturally, how it is in Germany, how it is in the US or
Mm.
Japan or India, and what we're able to know and understand about it. And this idea, like how different it is from place to place, is super powerful as well. So
Yes.
Germany, it's 3 years.
Well, it was then. I don't know how it is now, but yeah, if you were a single mum, they won't force you to work and you get benefits for the whole time. And yeah, at 2.5, my daughter was like more independent and I felt safe. I didn't have the guilt to leave her behind. And then we just did it slowly, just half days and then slowly up to full days at the kindergarten. And yeah, and we both felt good about it. And that's
Yes.
the best way. And now she's like this human that is super amazing. I just look at her and go, wow, she's so powerful. I'm jealous even because I didn't have that kind of like safety net. I'm here behind you. I'm with you. We're going to have fun. I'm going to get to know you, even if I don't like you sometimes. Yeah, yeah. And
Yes.
I think
And there's such a secure attachment. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That thing. And that gives people safety. And when I look at the world and the problems we have in this world, like the deep problems, it all comes back to the fear that people have, such deep fear and deep trauma of being rejected, neglected, and not accepted. And so people do these crazy things, just to have approval and acknowledgement or feel part of the gang or belonging to this society when in fact you probably don't agree with most of what's happening. We had time to think about it.
I
Yeah.
have had the opportunity to see with my three children,
Mhm.
each postpartum period was incredibly different.
Mm.
So the first was somewhat supported. I had 3 months at home with her.
Uh-huh.
The second was like right back to work at 6 weeks.
Wow. How did
And
you feel? How
yeah,
was that for you?
it was the worst. I
Mm.
cried every day.
Oh,
And she has a lot of difficulty with anxiety now. And I really
oh,
look at it, I'm like, well, I was dropping her off at a daycare
yeah.
at 6 weeks and she would cry and I would drive to work and cry. And it
Oh,
was it was a year of really like real
pain.
difficulty. And
Yeah.
then I ended up quitting that job and working from home.
Good
But
for you.
but it took a while. And it was really like, and now my son, my baby, I got to just always work from home.
Ah, wow.
So, what a difference in all three of them.
Yeah. And also how
Rejuvenating.
they are, how they
Yes.
develop. Yeah.
Yes. And how I felt afterwards, like the third time, I knew about the Ayurvedic practices. And so I was belly binding, I was giving myself warm oil massage, I
Good.
was eating the right foods. And the oil massage is amazing for the babies too. I
Yes,
use
yes.
yeah, it's the best for them. It's helping them. Like we use ashwagandha bala oil, so and
Mhm.
it translates to strength of horses.
Yes. Ashwa.
Yes,
Ashwa.
yes. And it's going down through the seven layers, through all the tissues, the seven
Mm-hmm.
dhatus,
Mm-hmm.
entering deeply, deeply into the body and nourishing, blood, bone, like reproductive tissue. It's getting in there so deep and also like so having that rejuvenative and nourishing effects. But also when you're massaging the baby, there's that bonding aspect
Yeah.
and there are developmental effects where they learn, you know, interoception and proprioception, where their body is on the inside and how it exists with the world around them. And it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I did it also. I massaged my daughter from the age of 2 months, I think, or even 1 month.
Yes.
And they love it. In the beginning, they're like, what's happening? But after a few times, they're like, wow, okay, this is happening.
That's
And then they kind
amazing.
of expect it. And then they get really big, and you're like, I think I've finished now.
Well, my son is about to be 7, and literally he asks for a massage every night.
I'm sure
But
he does.
now it's like, but okay, do you want your feet or your belly or your
Yeah, it's
head or
not the
your
whole
back? Now it's like one part of the body.
Yeah, but it's true what you say. I see it in my daughter too. She has very strong bones. She's really immune. Like I'll catch, well, not the last year, but for years I was catching everything and she would have it and within 2 days it was gone. And yeah, she's just very resistant to everything. And I know it's a part of that, also what we were eating while we were pregnant. That's also really important.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Ojas is like that, right? That nectar of
Yeah.
immunity.
Yeah.
Um, My teacher's teacher, Isha Oaks, said that the baby's best insurance policy is breast milk and oil massage. And like,
And that's all you need.
if you're able to do those two things, your baby's gonna have an amazing immune system.
Yeah. I have one friend, she had a child and that child didn't want to eat food. At 2 years, she was still refusing to get off the breast. She didn't want to eat anything except for breast milk. And at one point, my friend was like, okay, now it's enough. When she was 2.5, okay, stop now. But
Yeah.
that daughter is so big and so strong. It's amazing, and some people think breast milk is not enough. And this woman was vegetarian. It really is amazing stuff. It's magic, magic
Yeah.
formula.
And it is, nursing, especially for a prolonged period of time, can also be depleting, though, for mama.
Mother, yes,
So it's
definitely.
like just ensuring again that you're also tending to your ojas and agni, that your inner fire is doing well, your digestion
Yeah.
is strong, and your ability to assimilate nutrients. But then also like, what are you bringing in to nourish? And we would use lots and lots of ghee. One of the Ayurvedic beautiful medicines of not quite clarified butter because it's more than that, but it's this rich, again, this like, right, this rich golden tonic that has so many nutritive properties, and
Mm.
you add tons of ghee to everything, and that while you're breastfeeding, that would be ideal.
When you're not, but okay.
Exactly.
I love
As long as like what
oil and I love butter and I love ghee.
and there's like a special medicated ghee that we do for the new mothers called Pancha Kola ghee or five
Mm.
spice ghee. And
Mhm.
it has like five spices that deeply support like reigniting that fire because the idea is Agni goes out when you give birth
Mhm.
because you've been, so depleted. So
Mhm.
you want to kind of kickstart it right away. And you use this five spice ghee and you use about 9 ounces of it in the first week. You eat it
Wow.
with everything, like literally. You take tablespoons of it in the morning if you can tolerate it, or in your tea and in
Mhm.
every meal. And by the time the first week is up, you've had like that kickstart through herbs and through ghee, which is a delivery system again that takes the herbs deep, deep into the tissues.
Yeah,
Basically, yes.
yeah. And as you're talking, I was thinking, our tissues are built the first, I think, 2 days, it's the plasma. And the next 5 days, it's our blood. And the 5 days after that, that's already become our muscle. So when the fire is good in the plasma, the fire is good in your muscles, in your bones, in the nerve tissue, and so on and so on. So yes, how important is that to start well?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And
especially,
you can get that,
yeah,
sorry, Dr. Vasant Lad makes it, which is phenomenal. He makes it, and it's so like, it's such a long process to make
yeah.
that I've had to make it as part of my practicum. And he makes it, and you can buy it, and it's such a reasonable price. It's like such a beautiful gift to the world that he's making this nutritive tonic for new mothers and making it accessible, so widely available and affordable for people. So
That's
I
good.
definitely recommend new mamas check out Pancha Cola Ghee with from
Okay,
Dr. Lad's place.
okay.
Yeah, it's really
I'll write it
beautiful.
in the links, Pancha, Kola,
Yeah, I can send you a link to his
ghee.
but it's such an incredible time. And if you really take, you know, these pillars of rest and
Hmm.
your body care
Hmm.
and your nutrition seriously, then you can support yourself and your baby so much more deeply in coming and showing yourself that like, I'm doing this for 40 days and it's for the next 40 years of my life. So
Wow,
it's
that's
worth
so
it.
amazing, so
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah, yeah, and it's such a short investment if you think about 40 years. My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, I didn't know this. I didn't know this at my birth. I wish I did, because I was crazy. I was just like, yeah, get back out there. Of course, with my baby, but I wanted to be out there doing yoga, out of bed, being productive. And now I think, wow, I struggled a lot the first few years. I was very tired all the time. And it's in hindsight that you realize why, never why you're doing it.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it was fascinating to learn all about it. And I'm still learning, of course, but it is like it's such a vast topic and such
Mm,
an important one that
yes.
we kind of recondition the way that we've been led to believe we need to show up right away for everyone after birth instead of taking care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That
And
we're,
that baby. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, totally. So wonderful. The great transformation. Okay. So, do you want to share a practice? Would you like to do that? Is there something
Sure.
we can do? Yeah.
Sure. We can do a breathing practice that's amazing for all phases of life, but especially for new mamas as they're reintegrating their core and their pelvic
Okay.
floor. It's
Yeah.
very simple practice.
Okay.
It's just a 360-degree breath, I'm sure you know. And I think it's one of the most powerful breathing practices we can do to establish, a functional core. So
Okay.
whether we're working with pelvic floor issues, or we're working with our immune system, or we're working with our nervous system, this breath has therapeutic benefits. So I like to begin by just taking my hands to my ribs. And if you just allow your hands to kind of sense where your ribs are in space, you can do the fronts of your ribs or the sides of your ribs, or you can cross your arms over and hold kind of the sides and the backs of your ribs and just sense your natural breath, sitting up nice and tall if you're able to, wherever you are, and just feel the natural inhale and exhale and the way the ribs are moving with the breath. Maybe soften the shoulders and the jaw and the tongue inside of the mouth. Establish a long spine. And we'll really begin to accentuate the movement now as the inhale comes in. Really say to yourself, as I breathe in, I know I am breathing in. And as the exhale moves out, say to yourself, as I breathe out, I know I am breathing out. And then expand the breath into the sides and backs of the ribs. On the in breath, fill up and feel the ribs flare open gently. And on the exhale, feel the ribs draw back to center towards the midline, centering in the width of yourself. Allowing your breath to take up space. And see if you can sense the breath in the hips or the shoulders as well. The front side, the back side, and the space in between. And you can keep your arms here or go ahead and take one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. And now we're going to center in the length of yourself. On the inhale, feel the breath pouring down into the body, all the way down to the root, to the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor softens as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel the breath pouring up and out of the body. The belly draws gently in and up, and the pelvic floor lifts towards the heart. And take one or two more breaths like this, centering now in the length from tailbone to crown, from womb to heart. And when you feel complete, you can just gently rest your hands in your lap and notice how you feel. Notice any shifts or opening, residue from the breath. What has been awakened? Thank you for letting me share that with you.
Thank you, Jeanette. That was delicious and very presencing, just becoming, being. Yeah, very, very female, very goddess energy. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to talk with you today, Shira. You have such beautiful energy and such wisdom and grace. I cannot
I
wait.
don't have wisdom. This last year has been teaching me how little wisdom I have. I pretend. No, but thank you.
Thank you. And you do. True wisdom is knowing we know nothing, right? So,
Yes. So tell us where you've learned this stuff. Who have your teachers been? So Isha Oaks and Sarva Blackwell.
Blackwell, yes.
Well, and you're I'm sure you're teaching. Have you got trainings that you're doing for women?
I do. I do. I have a beautiful 300-hour yoga therapy program that I'm
Oh wow.
curating
Oh
with some
wow.
amazing teachers. Yes, and then I have lots of like little smaller offerings where people can jump in for, a 10-hour breath course or
Mm.
a 20-hour alchemy of trauma course
Oh
and
wow. What a good
lots of
idea.
online things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's all online? Or
It's
you
all
do it live?
online.
All
Some
online.
of it is pre-recorded, some of it I offer live and
Mm.
virtually, and I do retreats. So that
Mm.
will be coming again soon, I hope. I
Mm-hmm.
do love those so much, but as you know, the world has changed such a bit that it's been like curious to schedule international retreats right now.
International, yeah. But how
Yeah.
is it? We're completely open pretty much since February, March.
Yes, yes,
You do?
yes. Yeah, definitely. Now it's time. Like I have a little beautiful thing in the works for Greece next year.
Oh wow, Greece. Maybe
Oh,
I'll
it's
come.
yeah, I would love that. It's a womb cave. It's like
Mm.
literally the most magnificent place that I found quite by accident, and I was like, okay, I need to come here. I need to live here.
As a kid, my parents were hippies. We used to go to Greece every winter for the first 4 years, and we
Oh,
just lived on the beaches there. So I have very good memories.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Such a joy
Ah,
to talk with you. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Yes, and I will put everything in the show notes. So if you send me links,
I
and
will. I will. I'll do the Pancha Kola Ghee and Sarva and Isha's work. Yeah.
yeah, I'll edit and then remind you what I'm looking for.
Okay. Yes, please. If there's anything else, I'm happy to share. And
Yeah, it
yeah,
was wonderful talking to you and seeing you again.
so
You're
wonderful to
also
see you.
a beautiful light and joy and inspiration. Yeah.
You too, beautiful. You
And
too. I was,
thank you for reminding me I need to keep learning, kind of put it on the back burner, but yeah, you're right. I was writing a book. And
that's a
then
lot. I
now, yeah,
mean,
but that's also an excuse.
that's on my list too. And I'm like, I don't have time for that right now.
It
I,
takes a lot of time. And
a lot.
if you want a tip,
Yes.
first know what you want to write about. And then for me, I just started writing and it just became huge, and then I had to narrow it down. So I learned, I think it's especially for people who are very creative, that it's next time I'm going to write another book, but then I'm going to write all the chapters that I want in there, and then what headings I want under each chapter. And then I can fill it out, because otherwise it can just go on exponentially, like yoga or Ayurveda or life.
I love it. Well, I cannot wait to read it. Do you have an idea of when it will be out?
Yeah, October, end of October.
October?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, no, not really. I'm in labor since a year, like I was saying. It's been a very long process.
Oh, well,
And
what a
there's a lot
celebration
of
it would be.
procrastination, you think, oh, who the hell's going to read this? Another book, There's those thoughts that come up, and then you kind of put off why you should edit.
The right people will read it. Carrie, I'm so excited to look into the threads of, I know they're syncretic, but like the threads of yoga and Ayurveda and Tantra as you shared. I'm so curious to
Yes.
dive into that a little more. It sounds beautiful to look at it through that lens. So thank you.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
pleasure. And thank
Yeah.
you. And thank you, listeners, for being here. And I hope you had a wonderful time listening to us just talking and enjoying each other's company. Yeah.
Very much. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, Shira. Such a gift to have your work in the world.
Yeah, everyone's work.
Yes, yes.
We're all
And we're
gifts.
showing up for it, right? If
Yeah.
we're doing the thing we're here to do, there's only beauty can be made from it.
Yeah. And even when we're not doing what we're meant to do, because it's the process of finding what we are meant to do. And that's sometimes very difficult. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It
Well,
is.
that's actually the most difficult, because it's painful, because you want to find it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you doubt yourself a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what a joy.
Namaste.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Namaste, everyone. So I am here to say that the next few weeks we'll be having some wonderful guests and amazing conversations with, for example, Shira Cohen, who was a professor for religious studies in different universities, especially concerning the goddess. So we'll be talking to her next week. The week after, we'll be speaking to Anadea Judith, who is like very well known for chakra work and working with energy and the psychological aspect of yoga practice. And all this is culminating towards my book release, which is coming out in the end of October. And we'll be connecting the dots between subtle to solid and back again. I also want to get guests on who can speak about emotions and hormones, and then we can bring it all together and see why it's important that we have conversations and understanding about things such as psyche and goddess and emotions, because it affects us whether we know it or not. And how does it affect our lives? How does it affect our children, our societies, our choices, and therefore our future, which is something we're all a little worried about at this moment. So I think it's important to connect the dots and see how we can create a healthy network of understanding and consciousness to rebuild solid bridges of community, connection, caring, creativity, to build a beautiful world, not better world, a beautiful world, one that we all want to live in, one that inspires us, one that gives us meaning and purpose and passion, so that we feel fully alive and authentic to be ourselves, and not feel that we have to be leaving behind certain aspects of self to fit in or to belong in the societies that have culminated to what we are living in now. So I'm leaving you with this message with lots of love, hoping for you that you have a week blessed with special moments, realizing that each moment is unique and will never return, and that life is beautiful even if it's difficult. Namaste.